In that moment, the decision was made. I was gonna quit. I was not gonna do it. I was gonna find a way to make a living traveling the world. Today's topic is going to be super fun. I got really hyped up on the way over here. Because today we'll be talking about how I came to travel the world and why I would always choose traveling over a university degree. So you might gather from this topic that I didn't go to university, or I did. Actually, I did, but not for very long. I lasted less than a semester, and to quit university was probably the best idea I ever had. And so I was a bit of a late bloomer when it comes to higher education. After I finished high school, So I'm from a small town in Germany. After I finished high school, I moved to Berlin, and there I sort of did some internships for a while, and then because I was very lost at 19, 20, I decided to go on a gap year, and I went traveling to Australia, amongst other places. And so that's how I got the bug, right? That's how I got the travel bug at first. I spent a year traveling, backpacking, and all by myself, and absolutely loved it. But eventually I had to go home and, start real grown-up life. And I got accepted for a very prestigious university in Berlin to study media and English. But the moment I started going to the classes, which were completely overcrowded, and I guess it also didn't help that at that point I was the oldest there. So you can already guess it didn't go that well for me. I really struggled at university. I absolutely hated being back in this structured learning environment from high school. I was kind of glad to be rid of that. And so every day that I went, it got sort of harder and harder, and I stopped seeing the point. I guess also I was studying for a degree in media, and those internships that I had done, they had been in media, so I kind of had made some connections, and I probably could get a job in media anyway, so I didn't really see the point anymore. So it didn't go so well for me, and what was worse the worst thing was that I really missed traveling. For anyone who has traveled the world in their 20s, you know what that's like. You know what it's like to fall in love with being on the road, to fall in love with just being out there and not knowing what tomorrow will bring, and meeting new people, meeting yourself. So being back at university didn't live up to the hype, and I saw the point less and less. And there was this one moment, and that was the moment I decided that I was going to quit. I was driving to uni for another class, and I was driving my tiny little town car in Berlin, being stuck in traffic. And this song came on the radio, and that was the first time I heard the song, and I still get goosebumps thinking about it today. And the song was The Road by Frank Turner, it's kind of like a really fun sort of bar song. And I'm sitting there, picture me stuck in traffic in Berlin. It was winter, it was miserable, and the song comes on. And till this day, it's probably still my favorite song till this day. But one of the lyrics, one line always stuck with me, and that was, ever since my childhood, I've been scared and been afraid of being trapped by circumstances and staying in one place. So I always keep a small bag full of clothes carefully stored, somewhere secret, somewhere safe, and somewhere close to the door. And so I heard that song. And in that moment, the decision was made. I was gonna quit. I was not gonna do it. I was gonna find a way to make a living traveling the world. And so 2 weeks later, I handed in my resignation, my notice. I quit my studies and took on a job, started saving up money. And I did eventually end up working in media, but I always kept that small bag close to the door. And whenever I had saved up enough money, I would go off again. I would travel, I would go explore. And I just ran into one of my neighbors, and Australian neighbors are very friendly, so I just stopped for a chat. So yeah, obviously I am not saying it's a good idea not to go to university if you want to become a lawyer or a doctor or anything like that. But with me, who always knew she was a storyteller and who always knew she wanted to do something with media, something in publishing, telling my stories. The problem that I had with university was that it just felt like we're kind of all there learning the same thing. And I was just yearning to make my own curriculum, if that makes sense. I was just so excited to pick my own books and pick my own mentors and pick my own teachers. And I also felt that telling stories, wanting to write books and talking about the human experience, I just really felt that I had no experience talking about that. And a sheltered upbringing in the country where I had always lived just couldn't provide me with the experiences that I needed. And I'm a person who talks about privilege a lot, and I want to acknowledge the privilege that comes from being born in Germany, having one of the best passports in the world. And so don't think that I don't know how lucky I am, and that is part of what travel will teach you. You're going to learn from other cultures, you're going to meet so many different people, and you're going to meet yourself in these new environments, and you're going to get rid of so much bias and so much unknown bias, so much prejudice that you didn't even know you had. And so for me as a storyteller, that kind of education was just absolutely priceless. And I wouldn't change it for anything in the world. I also learned so much about myself in that in the small town where I grew up, I was very confident and I was very extroverted. But as soon as I started traveling, I realized just how much of an introvert I actually am and how much I enjoy spending time alone. How much I enjoy just observing and listening and reading books and thinking deep thoughts. And travel allowed me to do that uninterrupted. Some of the best memories that I still have from my travels evolve around me, a cup of coffee, in some street cafe where I would sit for hours with my notebook, taking notes, listening to the sounds, describing what I was seeing. Those are very special memories, and I actually got quite emotional on the way over here, listening to that song, The Rose by Frank Turner, because as you get older, I'm 38 now, you kind of forget, you kind of lose that light-hearted naivete that you just go for it and nothing can go wrong. And I was just absolutely mad when I was younger, and I was just so driven just by wanting to get out there, and it was just so much fun. And I think now I'm actually at an age where I feel like it's all starting to make sense and everything's falling into place. And I realize about myself that I am just this wanderer. I need to move, I need to walk, I get nervous when I'm too long in one place, and I just love that. I just love being able to move and experiencing different cultures, different countries, different people. It is just who I am, and I'm just so grateful, so many of the things that I thought I wanted didn't work out, but they all led me here. They all led me to the place where I am today. And at 38, I can say with confidence that it's all good and that I wouldn't have it any other way. And I see you back here tomorrow with the next topic. I care about storytelling. And in every good story, it often takes a villain to create a hero or a heroine.